Get off of your phone. सारा time phone पे लगे. Half of us in this room are tired of listening to this, and the other half must be so tired of saying this to someone. How times have changed from सुबह के सारा टाइम बाहर खेलते रहते हो, तो कभी तो रूम से बाहर निकल जाया करो. Hi, I'm Karna Singh, and today I'm going to take you on a journey. A journey that spans over 3 generations. A journey that shows us how contrasting their lives are and how emotional intelligence has transformed as the world around us has evolved. This journey is actually going to show us the cost of this evolution. And I just hope you can resonate with these stories because these are the ones that will help you observe how our connection to our emotions, our community, and just our well-being has changed. So let's start with the first generation. That's going to be the generation of, let's say, our parents or grandparents. So they lived in a world which was very different from ours. A world which was much safer and less guarded. I'm sure we've all heard our grandparents talk about how big their families were and how their families extended beyond the walls of their own homes. And they just didn't grow up with their own families. They had a whole community to raise them. They could do things that don't even seem normal to us today. Like they could just walk into their neighbors' houses and have meals, or even play with their neighbors' kids all evening. Can you imagine the kind of sense of community they must have had? I'm sure these people could have never felt alone because they had the emotional support of a whole community. We've also heard them talk about हमें तो इतना चल के जाना पड़ता था जब हम स्कूल जाते थे. हमें तो पानी लेने के लिए इतनी दूर जाना पड़ता था. And what do you think they did when they went on these walks? I'm sure they didn't have their phones to like scroll through. So what did they do? They looked inwards or they appreciated the beauty that was outside. And it was simple things like this that made them more self-aware, that helped them understand themselves. And there's something about being close to the nature that just naturally grounds you and naturally makes you more self-aware. All these factors not only added to their emotional intelligence, but they also made them really resilient. We know our grandparents could go through much harder times than we can. And they didn't have to crib or cry about their problems. They could solve them. Can you imagine if our generation had to go through a partition like they did? No, right? And of course it was hard for them. It was. But the thing is that they rose from the ashes because their emotional stability was reliant on self-awareness, community, and emotional support. Now, let's go to the second generation. Let's say that's the generation of people between 20s to 40s. So my generation. This is the generation of transition. We've literally seen the world change so rapidly around us. We've seen every family have one landline to every single person owning a smartphone in their own hands. And while technology is advancing, and we did grow up around technology, but technology hadn't taken over the world yet. It was still something that we all shared together. Families used to have one TV, and everyone would watch that. And that taught us something really valuable. It taught us the value of sharing, and it taught us that material things are not worth more than our emotional well-being. You know, if my brother was watching TV and if I had to give up my turn for his happiness, I would do it sometimes. But yeah, I would do it. But can you imagine taking a toddler's iPad away today if they're watching something? What a nightmare, right? And today, as we're getting connected digitally, we're getting disconnected emotionally. We might have thousands and thousands of friends on social media, but do we even have one person that we can actually rely on? And how many of us actually go to our families for emotional support? We just think distracting ourselves with our screens and not talking to anyone is going to solve our problems. We just suppress our feelings, and this is not only having an effect on us individually, but it really has an effect on us, on our relationships also. We've just started turning inwards and not empathizing with each other at all. And that's the reason we see depression rates spiking up. That's the reason we see divorce rates going so high. And not only that, we hear so many parents talk about how they cannot understand their children. We've all seen children in our families. And whenever they get annoyed or angry, what do? They go to their room, they lock themselves up, and they go on their social media. Or they will end up watching something or something like that. Now, they think distracting themselves and not talking to anyone is going to solve the problem. And one distraction after the other, one emotion after the other, it's all a pent up and piled up. And one day, when this volcano of emotion erupts, then what happens? They don't know how to deal with it. Then who comes in? A therapist. Today, we see more people than ever relying on therapists. And therapy is a great source. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is that things that came to us so naturally once in terms of emotional support because of our families and communities are just diminishing now. And that's extremely sad. And while therapy does fill in some gaps, the fact of the matter today is that we are seeing young people of 20s and 30s dying of heart attacks and other stress-related diseases. And that is the cost of our modern lifestyle. And that's really alarming. Let's go to the next generation, the generation of our children. Let's take a deep breath and imagine the future. This future, kids are going to be introduced to technology right at birth. In fact, we already see mothers who give their kids iPads to calm them down. Now, the thing is that these iPads are calming them down right now, but practices like these are the practices that are causing anxiety in young kids. And they seem so overwhelmed with the world, right? I'm sure all of us have seen kids who are like crying around people who are like social and they just don't know how to deal with their emotions. But instead of making them learn how to deal with these emotions, they choose to lose themselves to screens because that's the easy way out, right? And today, these kids are playing games on social media or like their iPads or, they're watching things. But that day is not very far when these kids are going to turn to artificial intelligence for emotional support. And AI is already coming up with devices and programs for emotional support. But the thing is, we have to understand however advanced AI gets, it might understand what we're saying, but it'll never be able to feel. And that is when we'll need to replicate things that machines can't do. Machines cannot replace emotions, how much ever hard we try. And I'm sure we don't want to grow up in a future where our kids are talking to machines, right? Also, with AI being so advanced, knowledge is so readily available. And when knowledge is so readily available, something else is going to take the center stage. And you know what that is? The center stage is going to be with the people who can actually navigate through complex human emotions. And that is going to be the true currency of success in the future. But anyway, what can we do? What can we do to protect our emotional intelligence and just like get it back? The first thing, these solutions are very simple, and the answer actually just lies in going back to basics. The first thing is just to be more self-aware. It's really easy. It's as easy as just sitting down with yourself for 5 to 10 minutes every day and thinking about how you felt that day. Did you feel good or did you feel bad? What are the things that made you feel good about your day, and what are the things that made you feel bad about your day? It's really easy to do these things, and they're very replaceable with our screen time or like just watching something. And if you want to take this self-awareness a notch higher, you can actually inculcate some meditative practices into your day. It's as easy as breathing in and breathing out for 5 minutes and just noticing your breath. The second thing that we can do is connect with nature. Now, I don't mean that we need to go out on long treks or like climb Mount Everest or something like that. It's as easy as just going to any garden and taking a walk. The next thing that we can do is we can become more self-aware by just having this sense of community, by having to rebuild communities. Because it's really important to just be present for each other in real sense, not just on social media. That's what's going to help us build our communities, to actually be there for your friends, to actually be there for your families. It can be as easy as just putting down your phone and talking to your family while having dinner and not watching TV or something like that. The last and the most important thing is to actually prioritize emotional intelligence. It's really important for us to do that for ourselves and for our future kids. Now, the thing is, we should make sure that our children feel like it's okay. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel upset. And emotions are not a sign of weakness. They're a sign of strength. If we can use simple tools like this, we can really build our emotional intelligence. And we can have a future where people are connected to each other and where health, both emotional and physical, can really thrive.